ever since the 76ers lost in the playoffs, Ben Simmons has been the person. He's been the person, the lightning rod for criticism that everyone is pointing to as the problem for the 76ers. He reportedly does not have contact with the team this offseason. Is there a chance, do you believe, that Ben Simmons will not report to camp? Could he hold out, or could this be like a James Harden situation? What do you think the future is with Simmons and the Sixers?
I think ultimately he ends up at camp. It's not in either side's best interest for him not to be at camp. It's definitely not in his best interest to do what James Harden did, and that's show up and be out of shape, because he's not a former MVP like James Harden is. So with that being said, I don't believe this deal happens this offseason, Jacoby. Now, the way you and I believe in Ben Simmons, we can't ignore the bizarre fourth quarter performances in the playoffs this year. And so he's gonna have to build that value back up. If I'm on the phone with you and you talk about give me a player and give me like 2 or 3 first-round picks, not after that series. Like, we saw the Paul George deal, the Drew Holiday deal. Like, there have been deals where multiple picks got exchanged, but not when they passing up layups in front of Trae Young at the hoop. So he's gonna have to build his value back up. They're not gonna wanna move him for less. So don't be surprised if this goes into training camp, if it goes into the season before he's actually moved.
Well, we will see what happens. I do believe he does get moved, but he might start the season on the 76ers. And every single August, I see the same thing, Jalen Rose. I see Ben Simmons on Instagram making three-pointers. Every single August, he is on the gram making three-pointers. I wouldn't mind if he actually did that during the season, because obviously unlocking a jump shot and his confidence internally and externally on the perimeter is important for him moving forward. The Los Angeles Lakers were put at number 3 in the NBA on the power rankings. The Bucks did win the championship, but you can't tell me that Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and the rest of the Lakers should not be ahead of the Bucks on this power rankings, Mr. Rose.
So initially when you said third, I wasn't necessarily mad at it. And then I thought about why, and it totally makes sense. I want to remind you something.
Okay.
There's a valedictorian walking the face of the earth representing the king of the court in the NBA. You know what his name is? Giannis the Greek Freak Antetokounmpo. You saw what he just did in the finals?
Yes, I did.
Did you see what he just did in the finals?
Yes, I did.
You saw Chris Middleton make a name for himself as a closer? You see Drew Holiday getting steals and locking down on D? You know they play in the Eastern Conference also, right? Which means 50 of their games are going to be against Eastern Conference foes. So therefore, they're number 2 because they're going to have a better regular season record than today your Los Angeles Lakers. Now, for the Nets, they right where they should be. The Bucks are as well. And don't be so upset about the Lakers not being 1 or 2. You just want them healthy at their Western Conference 3 seed or so when the playoffs start.
If you consider that all of the players are available and healthy, the Lakers have a better roster than the Bucks. And you mentioned the Nets at number 1. You remember, I'm old enough to remember, the Nets and the Bucks went to overtime in Game 7, and Kyrie wasn't even on the floor. The Lakers were one of the best teams in the Western Conference last year, regardless of record. They dealt with some injuries, and they added Russell Westbrook. They added a lot of other interesting pieces, too, like Malik Monk and Dwight Howard. They are going to dominate in the Western Conference, and they're also going to rest a lot. You know that LeBron James brought in Westbrook, so he said, you know what, I'll play about 70 games. I'll play about 70 games this year, and I'll give 12 just to Russ so he can score 30 and get 15 assists and 15 rebounds. We know that's going to happen. Jalen Rose, would you, in your personal power rankings, put the Bucks ahead of the Lakers?
Yes, for the reasons I just told you. They play in the East. They are a younger group, which means they're going to value the regular season more. Their best player, Giannis, is extremely durable and dominant. He's only going to get better. You saw him making free throws, okay? That's just going to add to his arsenal. And so, yes, the power rankings got it right on that one. And you know what else I can't wait to see? A full season of the Nets. We only saw them less than 20 games last year. And you mentioned KD, the offseason salutatorian, the way he played in the playoffs. and then the way he played in the Olympics. But a healthy Kyrie and obviously James Harden starting the season in shape, that's going to be a marvel to watch.
Absolutely. It does feel like we are on a collision course like we were with the Cavs and the Warriors years between the Nets and the Lakers, and what a finals that would be. But there's a lot of basketball to play before we get there.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.